Hello, I'm Ray. Welcome to another podcast episode. First of all, the weather. It's, what's the time? It's 7:15. How about that? 7:15, Thursday morning, 15th of July. No, June, nearly said July, 2023. Let's get that right. I know what the date is and the month. Well, yeah, just about know what the month is. 12 degrees centigrade, which is 54 Fahrenheit. Lovely time of day this is in the summer, absolutely wonderful. 73% humidity, 1018 on the barometer, and the flag is doing nothing. It's just hanging there. Oh, hang on a minute. No, it's moving. It's sort of moving between east and west. So, I don't know, little whirlpool round the flag, not doing anything. Absolutely beautiful time of day. I've been out in the garden. We fed the tortoise. Well, Trish fed the tortoise. I fed the squirrels, the birds. Everything's... Oh, I'll tell you what has happened. We've got loads of sparrows. Amongst others, we've got starlings and all sorts out there. The sparrows, I have discovered, the sparrows like eating beetroot leaves. Now, I've just planted some more out. I've grown from seed. I've planted them out. The sparrows are picking the leaves to bits. I've had to put netting all over them. Apparently, sparrows like beetroot, so I might put a whole one out there for them. That might keep them away from the leaves, but they're shredding the leaves. I love all the birds, but they can be a bit of a nuisance. The squirrels dig holes in the lawn and bury the monkey nuts, the peanuts that I put out for them. The sparrows eat the beetroot leaves. The pigeons eat anything in sight, they'll eat it. The magpies are loud and they eat anything. The seagull comes down. Anyway, that's enough of that. It's lovely to sit there and watch them all. I grew some night-scented stock from seed, and it's all come up, it's flowering, and it's fantastic at night. Honestly, I've moved it up under the patio roof, and at night, well, until we go to sleep, I leave the back door open, and it wafts in and fills the house with this lovely fragrance, wafts up the stairs into our bedroom. Absolutely amazing. Every year I always think I must grow more, but I always seem to forget. I need to get a lot of pots, more of these sort of long troughs, and absolutely fill them with night-scented stock. I discovered, I don't know whether I told you before, the reason that it smells beautiful at night, there's nothing in the day, the flowers don't smell of anything in the day, it's to attract moths, apparently. So that's an interesting little snippet of information, isn't it? You like that, don't you? No, I don't. Talking of moths and insects, I watched Spring Watch last night. Chris Packham, Michaela Streckham and Meg. Is it Meg? Yeah, and I can't remember all the names. And they were talking about the decline in insects. I've mentioned this before, haven't I? In the old days, in the 60s, the 70s, you drive along in your car at night. In the headlights, swarms and swarms of insects all coming towards you. And the next day, your windscreen's splattered, your headlamps are splattered with dead insects. You don't see any of them anymore. You just don't see them. In fact, people were contacting Spring Watch and saying, we haven't got any birds in the garden at all. We've got no insects. We are lucky to have a huge flock of sparrows, starlings. We've got blue tits, great tits. We've got quite a good selection. Unfortunately, we found a dead sparrow the other day in the pond. How he got in there, I don't know. There was a cat in the garden that I shooed away, but the sparrow didn't seem to be mauled at all. He was just in the pond. He may have got his feet tangled up in the weed, because they do go in there for a drink and a bath, and I've got rocks there for them to stand on, but this one was in the weeds, so I don't know. Possibly he got tangled up and drowned, which is a shame. Email from Duncan. Hello, Duncan. I was talking on the midweek message last Wednesday about the news flashes and the weather reports and stuff. Duncan has said, I'm sure you've got this wrong, Duncan. He says, you can please some of the people some of the time, but not all of the people all the time. Isn't it, Duncan? I think that's wrong. Isn't it you can please some of the people all the time and all of the people some of the time? You're getting me confused now. Yes, it's some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time or something. Anyway, I know what you mean, Duncan. Yes, I know what you're getting. I know what you're getting at. Good fun. Now, Evelyn. Good fun. Talking of fun, Evelyn, this was your idea. Fun. We're going to talk about fun this week. Well, I am. You're going to have a listen and then you're going to email me and agree or disagree. Raise rants at protonmail.com. Raise rants, all one word, at protonmail.com. Oh, just before we talk about fun, something else I get mixed up with is few and far between, isn't it? Few and far between. I always say far and few between. And Trish corrects me. She says, no, it's not far and few, it's few. I can't be bothered with it. I get things wrong. Her her granddad was funny. Bifocals. He called those, what did he call those? Fibocals, I think. Fibocals. A friend of mine used to call cassettes castanets. He'd talk about his castanet tape recorder. Anyway, yes, fun. In the old days, we had fun, didn't we, Evelyn? Well, not you and me. I mean, people in general. We had fun. It was good fun. Has the fun gone? Now, since I mentioned this on Wednesday, a few emails have come in about that. People saying the comedians aren't funny anymore. Well, that's what I said Wednesday. I don't find them funny. It might be just me. I know that humour is a very individual thing, isn't it? Tommy Cooper, bit like Marmite. You love him or you hate him. John Cleese, 40 Towers. I love it. Other people can't stand it. Charlie Chaplin, to me, doesn't make me laugh at all. I just don't understand Charlie Chaplin. Other people say he is the king of comedy. Fantastic. Laurel and Hardy. I love Laurel and Hardy, the slapstick comedy. Trish can't stand them. She doesn't find it funny at all. She thinks it's stupid. I don't know. There goes the car. Got the window open again. It really is lovely weather, isn't it? Did I tell you I had a headache last night? I got too hot. Far too hot in the garden. Heat affects me. Didn't used to when I was young. But these days, if I overheat in the garden or even in the house, I get a headache. Had the big window open all night, all the windows open all night in the bedroom. Closed in the day, of course, with the curtains closed. But at night, everything open. And the seagulls, honestly, the seagulls. Last night, 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, they're screaming. 3:30, and then again it was 4:30. Well, every time I woke up, the seagulls screaming. Oh, don't they ever go to sleep? What is wrong with seagulls? For a start, the sea is a mile south of where we are, so I don't know what they're doing here. I tell them when they come in the garden and pinch the bread, I say, look, the sea's that way, and it's full of fish. And they just look at me and say, as if I'm stupid. Well, we want bread, we don't want fish. Too much like hard work. There's also, on the seafront, people walking along eating chips and things and sandwiches. So the seagulls do go and pinch chips from people and stuff. Anyway, let's move on to this fun business. I mentioned on Wednesday about DJs, radio stations in the old days, the pirate ships, and how it was fun, the DJs were fun. Well, Derek has emailed and he says he must be as old as me. He remembers the pirate stations, the DJs, and he says they were fun. And he says to use that word, human. They were human. They weren't cardboard characters. I don't know what's happened quite with radio stations and DJs. Derek's in agreement with me that they just seem cardboard now. They're just like robots. Perhaps they are. Perhaps it's this AI stuff, is it? Artificial, not intelligent, I would think, with some of them. I probably shouldn't say that. But no, they're not like they used to be at all. I do agree with you. Well, you agree with me, Derek, and I agree with you. Several of you have commented about radio stations in the old days, mainly commercial stations and the pirates, how they were more relaxed. Several words, relaxed. They're not cardboard. They were human. They were real. They were fun, to use that word again. They were fun. And it was fun listening to them. Paul, hello Paul. Paul has said that his fun, he's got children now, and their fun is totally different to his fun back in the old days. His fun was climbing trees. Well, this is same as me, Paul. What's he written here? Climbing trees, going over the local woods, poking around in the pond that was over there, looking at birds' nests, looking at the eggs, not taking eggs, he hastens to add, and just generally having fun out and about in the woods, which was also, of course, physical exercise. And Paul says his kids, now you don't say how old they are, Paul, but they don't go to the woods, they don't climb trees. Well, I suppose that's up to you, Paul, isn't it? You could take them to the woods, although he does go on to say the woods now that were near him are miles away. There's now a housing estate, so that's probably why. This is the trouble, isn't it? I used to enjoy a walk in the woods. That's when the woods were just down the road from me when I was a kid. Of course, now the woods are a long way away. Yes, so we'd have to drive there. Yes, we could walk, but they're so far away. By the time we get to the woods, I'd be worn out. Paul does say that his kids kick the ball around in the garden, which is some sort of exercise. Now, there's a news flash. Do I read that out or not? It's not an important one, so I won't. Children these days, their lives are completely different to our lives, the way they were when we were kids back in the 50s, the 60s. I don't think it's fair, really, to say, as some people do, oh, when I was a boy, I was climbing trees. Oh, kids today sit in front of the computer. They sit there on their phone. That is true, but not all kids just sit there on their phone. Our grandchildren, they're always doing things. Their mum and dad take them up to the woods. They do this zip wire stuff, and what's that in the forest you can do? I forget what it's called. You know what I mean? Obstacle courses, and they walk high up in the trees, don't they, on these rope walkways and things, and then whiz down zip wires. Plus, they've got bikes. They cycle around the woods. So it is all good fun, but not all the children do that, of course. And I might add, they are all very slim. None of them are overweight at all. They're all slim. They're all healthy. And is that because they go to the woods and do all this exercise and stuff? It doesn't have to be the woods. It could be the beach. You can go down there swimming. Mind you, I wouldn't go to the beach swimming. Not at the moment. There's all sorts of sewerage being pumped into the sea. Brighton Beach the other day, I saw something online. They're advising swimmers not to go into the sea at Brighton. I mean, that is a major seaside resort on the south coast of the UK. Apparently there's sewerage being pumped in. I don't know. Well, the way they put it was there's a large area of brown water. That's what they said. Well, we all know what they mean by that, don't we? Isn't that awful, though? That's dreadful. In this day and age, to have sewerage, raw sewerage, pumped into the sea. And they can't say it's because we've had rain and the sewers are flooded, because we haven't had rain for weeks. Email from Jenny. Hello, Jenny. She says she used to like the I Spy books. Do they still have those? I don't know. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder whether they still have I Spy books. Ladybird books, weren't they? Where you sit in the back of the car, you're off out for a picnic, perhaps in the countryside, and you've got your I Spy book. It might be Spot Farm Animals. So you look in your book, you see a cow. Oh, look, cross the cow off. There's a cow and there's a sheep and whatever else. It was good fun. It was good fun for the kids. I had I Spy books. Trouble is, I never spied anything. I'd sit in the back of the car when we're going somewhere and I couldn't see one item in the book. Perhaps I had the wrong book for the wrong place. Perhaps I was looking at my countryside book in the middle of a city. No, I wasn't. I never crossed anything off. I couldn't find anything. I don't know why. Probably user error on my part, user error. Gary, nice to hear from you. That's the same name as our tortoise. You're not a tortoise, are you, Gary? Anyway, what is it you say? Oh, editing audio and podcasts and stuff. Gary does a lot of this. I don't know whether you do it professionally, Gary, or whatever. But he says, leave it as it is. Don't start fiddling with it. It's fine as it is. OK, that's good news, Gary. Thank you for that. Mark is also a professional. Hello, Mark. And he has advised me on various bits and pieces. So thanks for that, Gary. I shall leave it as it is. I know you get the odd click between clips that I've recorded. You know, it's not seamless. I know that. But several people don't mind that. Gary doesn't mind. So perhaps I ought to make it worse. I think I'll just carry on as I am. I might one of these days get a better microphone, although this microphone's pretty good. I might one day get a better one. Oh, the seagulls are off. Of course, back in the old days of radio, yes, there was FM radio. That came out in, 56? So that was quite nice quality. But most people in the 50s had long wave and medium wave radios, the old AM radios. And the quality was Well, it was all right for us. It was fine, but in hi-fi terms, it was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. On medium wave, there's no stereo, of course. It was AM. There were crackles, there were interference, and the kind of audio bandwidth was restricted, 4.5 kilohertz. Yeah, that's what it was on here anyway in the UK. I think in America, didn't you have 5 kilowatts? Goodness me, that's the transmitter. 5 kilohertz bandwidth. Anyway, that was nothing. Then FM came out, and you're getting, I don't know what it was it 15 kilohertz audio spectrum or whatever? It was more than that, wasn't it? I can't remember. That's something else I won't bother to look up. I've got so many things to look up now, I'm not going to bother. So yes, back then, listening to the radio, little transistor radio, it wasn't hi-fi at all. So the quality really didn't matter. I think that was part of the fun with the pirate ships. You listen on your little transistor radio or your old valve, the old wireless in the dining room or the kitchen, and there were crackles and buzzing and interference and stuff. It made it all more, well, that word again, it made it real. It was real. It was happening then and there. There was crackling and interference. That's what made it fun. Do you remember when CDs first came out? Because in the old days, what did you do on a Sunday evening? Was it 7 o'clock? Pick of the Pops would come on, and that was on BBC Radio 2 on VHF FM. So it was nice, good quality, decent quality. And all the teenagers, well, all the ones I knew, we all had our reel-to-reel tape recorders, and we'd record whichever records we wanted. So we didn't go out and buy the records. Now, this is bad. That was pirating, wasn't it? That was our equivalent then of what people do now. They download stuff. You don't have to go and buy it. You can download it for nothing. Although I think they are putting an end to that, aren't they? Then CDs came out. And I remember the hi-fi buffs saying, oh, dreadful quality. Because people say, it's CD quality, meaning it's fantastic. Well, if you look at, if you've got an audio program on your computer and you look at a CD, it is compressed. I was going to say something naughty then. It is way over compressed. It's just awful. It's just one block. The waveform is just one block. Whereas the old records, yes, they did a bit of audio processing, but not the way they did with CDs. CDs to me sound awful. I hate it. It's just all horrible. Do you know the old 78 records? Do you know there was better bass in the old 78 records than there were in the modern 33 RPM and 45, the vinyl records? You know why? Because they whizzed round at 78 RPM, whereas the LPs were 33 and a third, weren't they? The singles were 45. And the bass, and I've proved this for myself, the bass on some of the old 78s, although they were scratchy, the bass was far better quality. But of course, any radio station these days, they all use compression and all sorts of things. So the music doesn't sound real. Well, not to me, to someone that's listened to the original records many, many decades ago. Anyway, let's not go on about that. I don't like CDs. Does anyone use CDs anymore? We've got hundreds. It must be hundreds of CDs. We've got these racks. Well, they're mainly Trish's. Some are mine. And we never touch them. Trish never plays CDs. I think our car's getting on a bit now, and that's got a CD player in that. Slot on the front where you poke the CD. I don't think we've ever used it. We've had the car about 6 years. I don't think we've ever used it. Probably doesn't even work now. It's probably seized up. And of course, before that were the cassettes, weren't they? I've just got my old cassette recorder out of the loft. It's rather a nice one, and it actually had a tape in it. So I plugged it in, and there's only one channel working, either the right or the left channel. I forget. One of them doesn't work. I had a look inside, and it's too old. I can't be bothered with it. So that'll go not up to the tip. I'll put it on free cycle. Someone else can play with that. Someone can have it for nothing, and they can fiddle around with that. They might even get it going. It was okay when I put it in the loft. So cassette tapes, reel-to-reel tapes, they were good fun. I had loads of those on a shelf, all in their boxes marked Jimi Hendrix, Rolling Stones. That was good fun, taking a tape down. What do I want to listen to? Oh, let's have some Rolling Stones and put on the 7-inch tape and play that. Of course, the records, the albums, the LPs, they had pictures on the covers, didn't they? And it was fantastic. Look at Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, with the prism and the light. That is iconic, isn't it? Everyone knows that album cover. Then the CDs, well, they tried to have covers on the CDs. That didn't work because they were small. And now everything's downloaded. You've got no cover at all. Anyway, we're not talking about album covers. We're talking about quality and fun. One thing the pirate ships did, especially in America, the AM stations in America, they use something called Optimod. It's basically an audio processor because each station wanted to be louder or appeared to be louder than their rival stations. So this Optimod thing would whack up the audio. There goes another car. It would whack up the audio and do some compression and stuff. And of course, listening on an old transistor radio, it didn't matter what they did because it was pretty rough quality anyway. But that was all part of it again, all good fun. I remember people talking about Optimod audio processors in the old days. They were valve, they had tubes in. Valves, how about that? Who's interested in audio processing? No one. Right, that's enough of that then. Let's move on. Let's move on to some more fun. Carol, hello Carol. Carol says they had fun at school. Yes, I suppose, well, no, we didn't. I was going to say, yes, I suppose we did. Most of the kids did in my school, but I didn't because I hated it. Anyway, we're not talking about me. We're talking about Carol. Carol says that she loved PE. She loved that. Netball, she loved that. She loved art. And the teachers, this is what her point is, she's going on to say, the teachers seemed to have fun as well. They ensured that the children had fun, and in doing so, the teachers had fun. Well, that's nice, Carol. Again, you don't say how old you are. No one says how old they are. I suppose that's to be expected. I don't care. I tell people I'm 72. Isn't it funny how some people don't want you to know? They don't want you to know their age. I've never understood that. Why not? What's the matter? I was born in 51. So? And? Does that... I've got a problem with that. Have you taken offence? Oh dear, no, stop it. Anyway, Carol, yes, good fun at school. And in the playtime, she says that they did swapsies with things. I remember that. I'd have some marbles or some cigarette cards and some other kid would have something I'd want. So we'd swap. We'd do swapsies. That was good. Does that sort of thing go on now? I suppose these days they swap different flavours of vape. Because isn't that awful, this vaping? For children, I mean, it's fine. If you're an adult and you want to do smoking or vaping, that's up to you. But the children, apparently children at school are doing this vaping thing. Did you hear that? That was my neck. Did you hear that? I don't know what's happened there. Perhaps I need to exercise my head a bit instead of sitting here all day. No, I don't think vaping is good. It causes, from what I understand, ulcers in your mouth. And someone said it can cause mouth cancer, or was it throat cancer or something? I don't know. Well, same as smoking. I mean, that's not good. I smoked, I think I've told you, I smoked for 42 years. Started when I was, 15? And I went on for 42 years. Dreadful. I was lucky. I seem to have got away with it. I'm okay. But a lot of people, of course, didn't get away with it. They weren't so lucky. But I do hate to see children smoking or vaping. When I say children, I'm talking about children sort of 12 onwards, I suppose, not below 12, although perhaps some of them do, I don't know. People have asked me as I was a teenager in the 60s, did I do drugs? No, I didn't. I tried a cannabis cigarette, and we all did. I don't know anyone that didn't. I tried that. It was kind of okay, but that was the end of that. We tried it and that was that. I know people talk about 60s, sex, drugs and rock and roll. It wasn't all like that. It might have been in parts of London, I don't know, but it certainly wasn't here. So, yeah, we tried cigarettes at school, obviously, but not drugs. What was fun? Do people still do this? Do you still go scrumping? Climbing over a fence or a hedge, going through a hedge into an orchard and nicking the apples and the pears? Do people go scrumping? That was good fun. I just wonder what children do for fun these days, apart from sit there with their phones and iPads and stuff like that. My first record player, I got that. I remember that. What was I, 12, I think? Got my first record player, couple of records with it. And a friend of mine down the road, his older brother, he had loads of records, so he gave me a pile of records to play, which was good. I remember sitting in my bedroom playing all these records. It was fantastic. That was fun. And going downtown with my sort of pocket money and buying records from Woolworths, because they were quite cheap in Woolworths. I think they were 7 and sixpence in the old money, 7 and 6. And one of the first records I bought was Lucky Lips. Do you remember that? Awful. I don't know why I bought that. Lucky lips are always smiling, whatever. Lucky lips are never blue. I don't know why I bought that. Another email here from Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Quite a few emails this week, actually, which is good. Sarah says that she had fun at school with the teachers. They had fun as well in primary school. When you got to secondary school, she says the teachers weren't fun. Yeah, I agree with that, Sarah. Our teachers were not fun in the secondary school. There goes another car. I might have to shut this window. I don't know why the traffic's so busy today. Our secondary school teachers, they were bored. They were as bored as we were. I think they were bored because they found us boring, and we were bored because they were bored. But Sarah says that her primary school days were good fun. Yes, I did like primary school. I did. So, yeah, thanks for that, Sarah. That's interesting. That's exactly my experience. I think the teachers had more empathy or with the little kids, not empathy, that's the wrong word, isn't it? But they enjoyed teaching the little kids more than the secondary school where the kids are into their teens and the children aren't interested anymore. They're looking out of the window. They're thinking of going out that evening. They're thinking of the weekend where they can go downtown and whatever. I think my early days at school weren't too bad. I hated this kindergarten. I told you, haven't I, before, when I went to this kindergarten thing. I was about 3 years old. I remember that. They put these third of a pint milk bottles. Do you remember those? In the winter, they'd put them up under these wall heaters so you had warm milk. It was absolutely disgusting. I cannot stand warm milk. What are the birds doing out there? They must think it's 3 o'clock in the morning or something. They're all going mad. They normally do that, I've noticed, before a storm. So possibly we're going to have a thunderstorm. Now, we do need some rain. The garden is drying up now really badly. Listen to they're going mental. Oh, there goes a sparrow. He nearly flew in the open window. We had a sparrow the other day. He flew in the open back door, the dining room door, the patio doors. He came in the dining room. Trish and I were sitting there and he flew in and we're saying, oh, hello. And then he flew out again. I think he just popped in. Not another car. He just popped in to say hello. It's quite funny. We've now got a fly in here buzzing all round me. This is the trouble with the summer. I mean, I love the summer, but there are flies and all sorts. And Trish woke up this morning. She got a huge bite on her hand. No, I didn't do it. It was a mosquito. They normally bite me, but she had this big lump on her hand. There's definitely a mosquito around somewhere. They buzz, don't they? Zzz, like that buzz around your head when you're asleep and wake you up. Zzz. Of course, then you lay there worrying. Is he going to bite me? Has it gone? Zzz, there it goes again. Anyway, so even the summer does have downsides to it. The garden dries up, the grass goes brown, and you get bitten by mosquitoes. And you get flies buzzing around your high-tech air-conditioned studio. I wish it was air-conditioned. 24 in here at the moment, centigrade, not too bad. Something else that was fun in the old days. Do you remember Some Mothers Do Have Them with Michael Crawford and was it Michelle Detriche? I can't remember her name. Frank Spencer and Betty. Oh, Betty, do you remember that? There was a programme on last night, I think it was at least an hour long, all about Michael Crawford. Because he did Phantom of the Opera, didn't he? But it was mainly about Some Mothers Do Have Them. He did all his own stunts. It was brilliant to watch. And that was a real good fun programme. That was proper sitcom back then. In fact, I've had a couple of emails about sitcoms then and now. They were so much better then. The Good Life, quite a few of you have mentioned that. I like The Good Life. With Tom and Barbara Good, wasn't it? And Penelope Keith, she played, was it Margot? Margot, wasn't it? That's right, Margot next door. She was brilliant. All the old sitcoms were good. I think I liked most of them back in the day, but these days I just can't get on with them. Email from Frank. Hello, Frank. He's saying that, of course, back then there weren't the restrictions there are now. Comedians back then could get away with a lot more than they do these days. And he mentions Alf Garnett, till death us do part and all that sort of thing. Of course, you wouldn't get away with any of that these days. And Frank's saying, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think we need some middle ground. Perhaps back then things did go a little bit too far, a little bit too close to the mark or over the mark. There's my neck again clicking. Whereas these days it's so politically correct, it's not funny. We need somewhere in the middle, don't we? Frank also made an interesting comment, quite interesting, Frank actually. He says, did our parents, our grandparents and going back, did they all say the same thing that we're saying now? Oh, back in my day, comedians were funny. They're not now. Back in my day, we listened to the radio, to the Goon Show, for example, and that was funny. And now these days, it's, I don't know. I see what you mean, Frank. That's a good point. Does every generation, as they get older, do they say, oh, well, when I was a boy, or when I was a girl, no, better be politically correct. When I was a young person, when I was a small human, is that right? It's all right. Anyway, right. What else have I got here? I've got Australia written here. Oh, James in Australia. Hello, nice to hear from you. He says, are you enjoying your summer? Oh, I am, James. I'm enjoying the summer very much, apart from Trish and the mosquito and the sparrows eating my beetroot leaves and the flies in here. No, the fly's gone now. No, I love the summer, I really do. The winter in the UK seems to go on and on and on, it really does. So, of course, James, you're midwinter down there, aren't you? Down under? Listen, there's an aeroplane now. I still don't know where the dustmen are. Who was it mentioned the dustmen the other day? Where are the dustmen? I don't know. I don't even know which day they come now. I'm sure they used to wait until I started recording before they came and emptied our bins. We're still being threatened with storm, torrential rain, thunder, lightning, all sorts of stuff. Rob said, hello, Rob, Australia. He said when he was living in Sydney, they had a fireball storm, basically ball lightning. And this ball of kind of lightning, it's weird, isn't it? I love that sort of thing. It shot over the roof of their house and hit something. I've seen videos of ball lightning. It's quite, I don't understand what it is, but it is quite frightening. It just drifts, doesn't it, above the ground. It can just drift along, zapping things as it goes. I don't know. Now, there's a news flash. Now, do I read this to you or not? Oh, actually, I will. Hose pipe and sprinkler ban now in Kent. We are running out of water big time. It is serious now. I've been watering the garden. What we do is save. We've got a bowl in the kitchen sink. So if you wash your hands or just wash up a few bits and pieces without using the dishwasher, that water then we chuck on the lawn or the garden, the plants or whatever. So it saves running the hose pipe all the time. What I did many years ago when we had a water shortage here, I took a pipe. We've got a shower, obviously, in the bathroom, got the shower, and the drain pipe from the shower goes down outside the back of the house. What I did, I diverted that into a water butt. So we had a water butt of soapy old shower water. But the thing is, the plants didn't mind that. And I'd empty it onto the lawn. So everything was nice. It was really good. Everything was rosy in the garden. But I don't have that water butt anymore. So we save any bits of water in the kitchen sink in the bowl. It's surprising, isn't it? If you want some hot water, you run the tap and it's cold, 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 eventually warm, and then it's hot. And what we do, again, save that cold water that we're just running and wasting. Save that either as drinking water or for the plants. So, yeah, thanks for that, Rob. And thanks for all your other emails. I do try to get round to answering them all. I think some I might have missed. I'm getting a bit busy, to be honest, with emails. And some of the more lengthy ones, it does take me a while to get round to. Anyway, yes, we have no rain at all. I think the last rain we had was when we were in the Isle of Wight. That was the beginning, was it 7th of May or something we went there? No rain since. So it is getting a little bit serious now. I don't remember water shortages in the 50s and 60s, either because I was young and wasn't bothered. I don't think teenagers were too bothered back then whether we had water or not, long as the pub was open and had beer. Mind you, beer's made from water, isn't it? It's part of it. But I don't remember hosepipe bans and things like that. I might be wrong. Perhaps someone will put me right. No doubt one of you will put me right. But I do remember the old hose pipes. They were hard plastic type things, and they would kink and split, and they were awful in comparison, with the nice hoses we got now. The reinforced type hoses, they're rather nice. Donald, hello to you. Nice to hear from you. Donald says he's 18 years old. Excellent. You've got your whole life ahead of you, Donald, unlike me. Let's hope it's got a good life. Donald says, was there pollution in your day? As we didn't have so many cars. Good question, Donald. Yes, there was, from coal fires. Everyone in the 50s, everyone had a coal fire, at least one. Lounge, perhaps two, dining room. In the kitchen, a boiler. There used to be the old grey boiler standing in the corner of the kitchen with the grey flue going up through the ceiling or out of the wall or wherever it went. That took, was it coke or anthracite? Then you'd have coal in the open fire in the lounge and dining room. And there was, yes, in London, known as the pea super, when the thick sulphur type yellow smoke it was just dreadful. It killed people. There have been programmes, documentaries about that. It killed people. But yes, so we did have pollution. Funny you should mention that, Donald, because I was watching a thing on telly the other day. Some professor chap was on the news, and they were talking about air quality and pollution. That's these days, not back then. And he said, these air fresheners, you think, it's a bit smelly in here. So you get the old air freshener. Oh, that's better. That smells nice. He said, you're actually spraying a pollutant around the room. Do you know, I've often wondered about fly killer spray. I don't use it because it stinks. I'd rather get the fly out of the window. But I have known people use it when I've been round their house, and honestly, it does stink. And I've often thought, you breathe that in, if it kills flies, what's it do to us? All right, it won't kill us, but what's it do to our lungs? And this chap was saying things like hairspray and any spray, polish, you polish your furniture with an aerosol. He said all of them are pollutants. So that's quite interesting. Anyway, Donald, back to you. Yeah, we didn't have all the car exhaust fumes back then, of course, because there just weren't the number of cars on the road that there are now. But the main thing was the coal fire, the smoke and all the fumes and filth from that. And he's also added a PS at the end, were the beaches clean? Well, are they clean now? I mean, I was talking earlier about sewerage being pumped into the sea around the coast here. Back then, yes, there was sewerage pumped into the sea, but also tar. The ships out in the English Channel, they used to wash out their oil tanks with seawater, and of course all the old oil it's illegal now. All the oil would drift around, killing seabirds and sea life and stuff, end up on the beach. It would solidify into tar. And as a kid, we'd go down, have a picnic on the beach. You've got to be careful where you sit, because all over the stones, the sand, there's lumps of tar, bitumen type stuff. It was dreadful, as well as the sewerage. At least we don't have the tar now. We've only got raw sewerage now, Duncan. Right, what a subject. Let's move on quickly. I'm saying sewerage, aren't I? It's sewage. I'm lost now for word sewage. They were talking about that on telly, a couple of newsreaders the other day. One of them's Irish and the other one's English. And they were taking the mickey out of each other, because one was saying Nottingham, I think, or was it Birmingham? And the other one was saying Birmingham or something. It's quite funny. What's that? Nothing. Oh, hang on, it's the Met Office. Here we go. Yeah, London and the South East. Thunderstorms, torrential rain, all sorts of stuff going on. So the garden needs it. I keep saying that, don't I? Everyone now is saying, you know what us Brits are like? Talk about the weather. Everyone you meet, you see a neighbour. Oh, hello, how you doing? We need some rain. Isn't the garden dry? I don't know why us not do that, us Brits. We've always talked about the weather. I think I told you before, my grandfather, when I used to be over at his place, I remember more than one occasion, he'd be talking to a neighbour and he'd say about the weather, and he'd say the glass is rising. And what he meant by that was the barometer. The pressure was rising, so you're getting higher pressure, so the weather's better. Of course, the lower pressure meant stormy weather. It would say on the barometer front, it would say rain, all that sort of stuff down there, low pressure. Then the higher pressure would be dry and sunny weather. But I wonder what on earth he was talking about. The glass is rising. Perhaps he was raising his glass of beer. Cheers. He used to say cheerio. He used to think, I don't know, there's something wrong with him. He used to think he was something he wasn't. I think he thought he was a member of the aristocracy. He didn't drink, but he'd have a soft drink, and he'd say, instead of saying cheers like we do, he'd say cheerio. Cheerio, old boy. What? I don't know. I never understood that. Where did cheers come from? Perhaps it was cheerio. Something else I'm not going to bother to look up. I've just been reading about these hosepipe bans. It's in my area as well. Restrictions introduced after record demand, and listen to this, with huge fines for rule breakers. So if you're caught hosing your garden or washing your car with the hose or anything, huge fines. So that's not good, is it? I remember a time many years ago, the water company, they sent out a helicopter. How they afford that, I don't know. And they were taking note of who had green lawns, because most of the grass obviously was brown. And anyone with a nice lush green lawn, they go around there and say, "Oi, you using your hose pipe?" Because a couple of people were on telly. And they said, no, they did what I did. They'd run a pipe from the shower or from the bath. So you have a bath, then empty the bath onto the lawn. So the grass is watered. But they even went that far, though, to send a helicopter up and taking photos of people's green lawns. And the thing is, you can't trust people. There's water shortage. Some people just say, "Oh, well, I'm using water. I've paid my water bill. I shall use as much as I like," which is not really fair on other people, is it? I certainly won't be using the hose. In fact, what I do whenever there's a hose pipe ban, I put it away, stick the hose pipe in the shed and forget it. You can use a watering can. You can fill up from the tap and use a watering can, that's all right. It's just the hose they don't like you to use because it wastes a lot of water as well, doesn't it? It's now Saturday, 23 degrees C. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Saturday lunchtime. No sun today. Very close, very strange. Calm before the storm, I would say. The seagulls have been going mental all night, and they do that especially when there's a storm due. They haven't stopped all day. They reckon storm, thunder, lightning, torrential rain from midday Sunday onwards. So I shall tell you all about that on Wednesday. I know what I'll be saying on Wednesday. Nothing happened. No rain, no thunder, no lightning. Nothing happened at all on Sunday. I might be proved wrong. We shall see. Just had an email from Gordon. Hello, Gordon. Clothes, he says, in the 50s. What did you wear as a child in the 50s? What were your normal school clothes, play clothes, posh clothes? What did you have? Gordon says he's 25, so obviously he doesn't remember. Well, school, Gordon, at primary school, it was short. For the boys, it was shorts, grey long socks, almost up to your knee, black shoes, of course, grey shirt we had. I remember that, grey shirt, grey jumper, all rather drab, really. The jumper around the V-neck, it had, what was ours? I think it was red and black, I can't remember. I know it was red and something else. And a school cap, of course, that was a school uniform. The girls wore what we called in those days frocks. They're dresses now, I think, aren't they? Basically, in the winter, they wore a sort of thicker frock, and in the summer, a thinner frock. And white socks, of course, Mary Jane, they call Mary Jane type shoes. And they did they have caps? No, it was only the boys that had caps. And we all had a satchel, of course, to carry our books and other bits of junk in. Going out, clambering over the woods, girls and boys both wore jeans, old jumpers, any old clothes, because you're mucking around in the pond, you're climbing trees, as I say, boys and girls, getting absolutely filthy, covered in mud and all sorts of things. So any old clothes, normally jeans. I don't remember anyone wearing shorts over to the woods, because you're going to scuff your knee and get stinging nettles and all that sort of thing. So no one wore shorts. On top, in the summer, on top we had a kind of T-shirt or an old jumper. And our shoes, well, they were called plimsolls. We didn't have trainers as such back then, Gordon. We had plimsolls and, what were they called, those boots? Baseball boots. I remember a friend of mine had baseball boots. They were ankle high, covered your ankle. And they were sort of black canvas, black and white. And they were great. I never had a pair. And I remember thinking how cool they looked, these baseball boots. I was really envious of any of my mates that had those. Going out posh, I don't think I went out anywhere that was posh. I'm just trying to think. I think I did have a long pair of trousers and a nice jacket. Oh, at school, yes, we also had a blazer. That was grey as well. Everything was grey. It was all so drab. At the girls' school, their colours were brown and yellow. So they had brown skirt. I believe it was a brown skirt, brown jumper. I think they had yellow shirt. That's right, yellow shirt. Their tie was yellow and brown, striped or whatever it was. Our tie was grey and red. And they looked quite smart. They looked good. Then, of course, the secondary school, when you got older, the big school, as we used to call it, that was, what do we wear there? Long trousers. That was all black. White shirt, black trousers, black cap, black blazer. Everything was black. But I must say, all the children looked pretty smart. Even the families without a great deal of money, they could buy second-hand uniforms from the school. They used to do sort of a jumble sale and people would donate uniforms and stuff. So people that didn't have a great deal of money, their children still looked pretty smart in their uniforms. For PE at school or sports, we had black shorts, plimsolls again, I think sort of longish football type socks, a black t-shirt type top with a white collar. I hated all that, hated every moment of PE and sports. The girls at the primary school, that's the younger school, between 5 and 11 years old, what they did for PE was tuck their frocks into their knickers. They had these thick navy blue knickers, and they tucked their frocks into. They look funny, all bulging out. I don't suppose they do that these days, but that was funny. Used to make us boys laugh. Oh, one more thing Gordon says about collecting things as a kid in the 50s. What did you collect? Yeah, I think I mentioned this before, Gordon. Marbles, cigarette cards, jacks. That's those little metal things you throw in the air and catch on the back of your hand. Used to collect things like that. I had loads of marbles, absolutely loads of marbles. Used to collect cigarette packets. You'd find them in the street or in the park, rummage through the litter bins, pull out old cigarette packets. Matchboxes, matchbox labels, take those home and with a sharp knife, after you've cut your fingers several times, cut the front of the matchbox off, stick it into a scrapbook. Same with the cigarette packets, cut the front off so you've got players or whatever, senior service, embassy, park drive, stick all those in your book. And if you had any doubled up, you take them to school and do swapsies. Has anyone got Park Drive, 5 Park Drive? Yeah, I've got one of those spare. What do you want? Oh, I need one of those. Yep, good, we'll swap that. A lot of the fun we had back then was simple. It didn't cost money. It was very, very simple. We could create our own fun. As I say, collecting stuff like that, sticking them in scrapbooks. Another thing that quite a few of us boys used to do for fun was build our own bicycles. We'd go up the local rubbish tip, find a decent bicycle frame, find a couple of wheels, any other bits and pieces. Oh, look, there's a saddle. I'll have that. We'd go up there with spanners and things. I remember that. Of course, the people up at the tip, they didn't care. They didn't take any notice of us. We were rummaging all through the rubbish and clambering over a load of scrap metal. No health and safety. No one to say, oh, you lot, clear off. They didn't care. And we'd go lugging bicycle frames home and handlebars. I remember lugging a bike frame home. And 2 wheels as well. I only just managed it. And then put it all together, do it all up and build yourself a bicycle. Fantastic fun. That's what fun was all about then. Whereas these days, I don't know, fun seems to be, you've all got to go to Thorpe Park or Chessington World, a World of Adventure or something, and spend a fortune. I mean, these places cost a fortune to get in. Then you've got food and, it just goes on and on. Can I have an ice cream? Yes. What do you want? 2 ice creams. Right. £10, please. What? Well, they're a £5 each. No, I made that up. I mean, I've no idea what ice creams cost. I don't buy them. Everything's so expensive now. I mean, I know obviously wages, salaries have increased as well, but what are the cigarettes now? £10 a packet? £10 for 20? Stone the crows. I'm glad I packed up smoking. When was that? That's 15 years ago now I stopped smoking. Long time ago. I must have saved thousands by now. Anyway, that's enough. Where are we? 50 minutes, that'll do. I expect you've had enough of me rambling on. I shall see you on Wednesday, and I'll let you know whether we had that massive thunderstorm on Sunday and the torrential rain and whatever else they're going to throw at us. I bet the sun comes out. Raise rants at protonmail.com. Email me and I will do my best to answer and maybe even mention you on next week's podcast. Take care, look after yourselves, and I shall see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.